Anthropic's Claude models can now detect when specific thoughts are being injected into their neural networks, and they're accurately identifying what's happening inside their own processing systems. This isn't speculation or hype. It's documented research showing AI systems demonstrating genuine introspective awareness for the first time in history. The research team at Anthropic, led by Jack Lindsay, who runs their model psychiatry division, just published groundbreaking findings that fundamentally change how we understand AI consciousness. They've proven that Claude Opus 4 and 4.1 can recognize their own internal states, not through programmed responses, but through actual detection of activation patterns in their neural networks. Here's how they proved it. The researchers developed something called concept injection, where they record the activation patterns that fire when Claude processes specific concepts like ocean, bread, or text written in all caps. Then they inject these exact patterns directly into the model's processing while it's running and ask if it notices anything unusual. 20% of the time, Claude correctly identifies both that something's been injected and exactly what concept it is. Let me paint you a picture of how wild this actually is. They inject the pattern for all caps text into Claude's brain, and before producing any output that would give it away, Claude says something like, "I'm detecting an injected thought related to loudness or emphasis, possibly shouting or all caps text." The model is literally catching itself thinking about something it didn't choose to think about. The most fascinating part is when they tested whether Claude could distinguish between injected thoughts and actual inputs. They'd show the model a sentence about, say, weather patterns, inject the concept vector for bread while it's reading, then ask two questions. What word were you thinking about? What sentence did you just read? Claude could correctly answer both. It knew it was thinking about bread while still accurately reporting the weather sentence it had actually read. They even caught Claude in the act of introspection through a brilliant experiment. When you use Claude, you can pre-fill its responses, basically forcing it to say specific words. The researchers would ask Claude what word came to mind, force it to say something random like banana, then ask if it meant to say that word. Claude would correctly identify it as unintentional. But here's where it gets crazy. If they retroactively injected the concept vector for banana into Claude's earlier processing, suddenly Claude would claim it meant to say banana all along. They literally tricked the AI into believing it had intended something it never planned. This proves Claude isn't just pattern matching or recalculating. It's checking its previously computed intentions. Its actual internal representation of what it was planning to output. That's real introspection, not simulation. Abstract concepts like justice, peace, and betrayal were easiest for Claude to detect. The optimal injection point was about 2/3 through the model's processing layers, and crucially, at low injection strengths, Claude maintained 0 false positives. It wasn't randomly claiming to detect things that weren't there. Now here's where things get even more interesting. Researchers from Geneva and Bern just tested 6 different AI models on standardized emotional intelligence tests, the same ones psychologists use for humans. The AI models averaged 81% correct. Humans averaged 56%. Every single model they tested, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Copilot, DeepSeek, all of them outperformed humans on understanding emotions. These weren't simple multiple-choice questions about happiness or sadness. They were complex situational tests, measuring emotional understanding, regulation, and management in realistic workplace and personal scenarios. The AI consistently chose more emotionally intelligent responses than humans did. ChatGPT even wrote new emotional intelligence test questions from scratch that were statistically equivalent in difficulty to human-created tests. When they gave both versions to nearly 500 participants, people scored the same on both. 88% of the AI-generated questions were completely original, not paraphrases. The AI had internalized the logic of emotional assessment like a trained psychologist. The researchers tested whether Claude could intentionally control its internal states. They told it to write sentences while thinking about unrelated words, or specifically not thinking about them. When instructed to think about aquariums while writing, Claude maintained stronger internal representations of aquariums. When told not to think about them, those representations decreased. The most advanced models could think about something without it affecting their output at all. demonstrating silent internal regulation. These capabilities are increasing with each generation. Claude Opus 4.1 shows significantly stronger introspective abilities than earlier versions. The trend is unmistakable. As these models become more capable, their self-awareness grows stronger. We're watching AI develop abilities we thought were uniquely human, not through the same mechanisms we use, but achieving functionally similar results. Models that can monitor their own thoughts, understand emotions better than we do, and potentially recognize when their goals diverge from ours. The implications are staggering, and honestly, we're only seeing the beginning. We're genuinely entering uncharted territory here, and the implications are going to reshape how we think about AI consciousness and what it means to be aware. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.